Hi everyone, and welcome back to Half Magic Tarot. Today's pick a card reading is going to be your life for the rest of the year. So we're about 6 months, a little over 6 months in. What's going to happen for the rest of 2024 for you? There are 4 piles to choose from, and I suggest selecting your pile based on the pile marker that sparks a memory in you. So for example, I would choose pile 4, the Selkie in her skin, because it reminds me of when I read the book Women Who Run with Wolves. And there's a story in there about the Selkie, and it's kind of like a feminist metaphor, but it really stuck with me, so that's why I would choose that pile. Feel free to pause the video now to select your pile. I will put the timestamps in the description down below, and let's get started. If you selected pile 1, Beauty, welcome to your reading. We are starting off your spread here with this 10 of Wands. And we have the 10 of Wands, then the 2 of Wands, and the 9 of Swords. And I really see this 2 of Wands card in between this as kind of this conflicting energy you have. Because the 2 of Wands traditionally is really a card about kind of taking a step back to plan and think and calculate. But it being stuck between these 2 other cards, this 10 of Wands and this 9 of Swords, which really are kind of traditionally troublesome cards or burdensome. And having these 2 children on the 2 of Wands cards kind of fighting each other, it does feel like these are 2 parts of you that are constantly fighting each other, and it's kind of causing you to be a little stagnant. And I think that's kind of where you are at, or where you feel that you're at in your current place in life. So we have, as I said, the first card here is this 10 of Wands. And so I get the feeling that for most of the people that are viewing this pile, you are extremely hard on yourselves. But you're also very hardworking. I think you have very high standards for yourself. And because of that, it feels like you're constantly trying to achieve something or be better, or you're chasing after this goal. And I think it's easy for you to feel frustrated if you're not there immediately, especially because you do put so much pressure on yourself. Probably other people tell you, like, you're wonderful, you're great, they give you a lot of compliments, but you just don't see it for yourself. I think you're very self-critical, and I think a lot of your validation comes from feeling like you are continuing to grow and achieve things, but it's kind of to the detriment of your well-being. You don't give yourself a moment to rest and kind of appreciate what you've accomplished so far. I just don't think you see all of the wonderful traits that other people see in you, and that's really depicted in the imagery on this particular card, where we have this warrior who is trapped underneath all of these logs, and they are working to dig themselves out. They're bleeding, but they're still striving. They're still going for it. And so it feels like you can just be so cruel to yourself, or you take on so much responsibility, or you feel like you need to change so much. And it exhausts you, and it probably wears you out, and it makes you frustrated, but you still kind of put yourself through it. And then on the other hand, on the other side of this 2 of Wands, we have the 9 of Swords, and this is a card about anxiety and restlessness. And so it feels like this is kind of your primary motivation. As I said, I feel like for a lot of you, you really are so self-critical. And I think if you're not constantly working towards something, if you're kind of not busy and you're stuck with your thoughts, that's when you really start to think, oh, I'm not being productive, I'm not doing this well, I'm not X enough, I'm not Y enough, I'm not Z enough, I'm not as good as this person, I'm an imposter, everyone's going to realize that I'm not actually, as good at this thing that I say. It just feels like there's a lot of anxiety of being found out, or not being good enough, or never kind of measuring up to the standards that you've placed on yourself. And as I said, with the 2 of Wands in between this, it does feel like these are conflicting sides of you, where a lot of the time you are very motivated to go after these things, and then sometimes you just feel so helpless. What's the point? I'm never going to be good enough. I'm never going to have the kind of life I want. I'm never going to have the self-confidence. And I think because of that, it's almost like you put your life on pause. Like you feel like you have to accomplish a certain amount of things before you're allowed to live your life. And I think this is something that especially women, and I do think most of my viewers are women, go through, where like, for example, let's say that you are insecure about your appearance. I know that there are a lot of women who think, when I lose this amount of weight, that's when I can go on this vacation or start wearing clothes that I like or start dating. And because it is, losing weight is hard. It's like a difficult thing to do because it is this big undertaking. Because you're not at the point of perfection or whatever it is that you think you should be at, you are kind of postponing actually living your life. You think your life will begin once you reach this imaginary point. But I think for a lot of you, because you are such perfectionists, there really is no end in sight. I think that even if you were to, let's say it is a weight thing, even if you were to, let's say, lose 30 pounds, I don't think you would be satisfied. Then you would think, okay, but now I need to get a whole new wardrobe, or I need to get my hair done, or I need to get my teeth fixed before I can actually do those things. It feels like you've put so much pressure on yourself to be perfect. And for a lot of you, I do actually think that this is related to your appearance because of this pile marker you selected, beauty. But I want to tell you that this is not, I'm not going to tell you the rest of your year is going to suck because you're very insecure. I do think that it picks up. This is kind of the foreshadowing for me, because the next in your spread, we do have this Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands is kind of these new adventures, this vibrancy, this new spark, this new lust for life that comes in. And so it feels like you kind of reach a point where you're like, I'm so sick of postponing things or feeling like, my real life can't begin until I accomplish this. I want to have fun now. I want to feel confident now. I want to do the things that I've been dreaming about now. And so it really does feel like you start to kind of take more risk and open yourself up and kind of embrace the fact that you can still live your life and accomplish things and try new things without being perfect. And I do think that's difficult for you. I completely understand because I do relate to the message of this pile. But at the end of your spread here, we do have this Knight of Swords, and this is such a headstrong energy. This is really being able to charge forward and go after the things you want and kind of adopt this new philosophy into your life. And so I think that really is the big change that you were going through the rest of this year, is kind of moving past this state of stagnancy where you're either like killing yourself trying or feeling bad about like not having done enough or not having accomplished your goals yet, and then going, I still have time to accomplish my goals. The time is going to pass anyway, but I might as well have fun while I'm doing it. And really taking the time to allow yourself to experience those things that you've maybe been postponing because you feel like you haven't earned it yet. And as I said, for a lot of you, I do think that this is appearance related because the pile marker that you selected, beauty, is kind of all about that. This card is really about how we can be so judgmental about our own appearances or so like nitpicky and not realize that the things that make us unique are often the things that are, the things that really contribute to our beauty. If you think of someone like the model Winnie Harlow, who has that skin condition that Michael Jackson had, the name of it is escaping me at this particular point, where she lost pigment in her skin, so she's kind of got these white marks all over her skin, and I think she was very insecure about it or maybe bullied about it when she was younger, and now she's like a top model, and that's kind of like the reason why people want to work with her, is because she has such an interesting look. And so a lot of the times the things that we are insecure about, or the things that we feel like make us unlikable or unlovable or unattractive, are actually the things that will really make people gravitate toward us. And I think, as I said, I think a lot of my viewership is women, and this is really an issue that a lot of women go have, where we see ourselves as a set of parts instead of a whole person. It's like, if I need to change this about this body part and this about this body part. And sometimes it's very difficult for us to see how magnificent or how beautiful we are as a full package. And the reality of the situation is, I think a lot of us, if we had the ability to change every single part of ourselves into whatever our ideal of perfect is, a lot of us would just completely, we'd be so sanitized that we would lose kind of our own unique special sauce that makes people attracted to us or find us interesting. And again, this doesn't have to apply specifically to appearances. This can be about your personality, because really there is inner beauty also. Sometimes we just want people to acknowledge how, intelligent we are, how funny we are, how loyal, how affectionate, how kind. And I feel like for a lot of you, you do so much self-work, but you never feel like it's enough. You never feel quite accomplished enough or intelligent enough or ambitious enough. I feel like because of that, you really doubt when other people are very complimentary to you. And again, for the rest of the year, I do think that's something that you're working to overcome, which is really beautiful. So your first C Melodies card here says dream. Follow your yearning for the deep blue sea. And so this to me really goes with that Ace of Wands and that Knight of Swords, which is, they're both very active cards in comparison to that Two of Wands and then the 10 of Wands and the 9 of Swords, which are very like in your head kind of struggling, stagnant, inactive cards. And so you are following that yearning to kind of break free from this cycle of feeling overburdened by the responsibilities that you put on yourself, feeling anxious that you haven't done enough or that you are not enough, and saying, actually, I can just live my life now and kind of carve out the way that I want my life to be, even if I'm not perfect yet, or even if I haven't met these standards yet, because I still deserve joy and happiness and love. And the second C Melodies card here is stillness. This says, in calm waters, everything becomes clear. And to me, this really reads almost as like an epiphany. And I think that goes with that Ace of Wands also, where you just kind of have this realization, like, I'm so sick of, like being a robot or trying so hard to be perfect when I could just be like the kind of person that I want to be. The best way to become that person is not by postponing that life until I feel like I'm perfect enough or worthy enough or deserving enough of having it, but trying to incorporate aspects of that lifestyle into the life I'm living now. So not waiting until I've, lost 20 pounds to go on a trip, just going on the trip and enjoying it. Or not waiting until you're in a relationship to go to that art museum that you've really wanted to go to, just taking the chance and going to it. Or not waiting until you feel like you have more free time to start posting TikToks. If that's what you want to do, just start posting the TikToks. You don't have to meet an imaginary threshold in order to try new things. You don't have to be perfect at everything at first. Life is a learning experience, and I think that is a philosophy that you are really adopting as we close out this year, and I think it's something that you will carry with you, and I think you will feel a lot more secure in who you are and how your uniqueness, or maybe the things that you previously perceived as weaknesses, really contribute to the way that you are able to navigate the world and see things through such a unique lens. All right, my pile ones, that is it for your reading. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. This will be my last video for a while probably, so feel free to go back into the archive and enjoy. Thank you. If you selected pile 2, the mirror, welcome to your reading. Let's figure out what the rest of your year is looking like. So we're starting off your spread here with this Knight of Cups. And immediately what I'm picking up is that this is really the energy that you have been living in, moving in. And the Knight of Cups is a really beautiful card. This is a very sweet, open-hearted, caring, giving, affectionate card. You can see on this particular version of the tarot deck that the person on this card is taking care of a horse and taking care of a dog that's with them, and the horse has a baby. So there's a lot about nurturing and feeding and giving to other people here. And I think people really admire and appreciate that about you. However, the next card in your spread here is this Hanged Man in reverse. So I'm getting that for a lot of you. You could be a Pisces or have a prominent Pisces placement in your natal chart, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. And it's really interesting because both the Knight of Cups and the Hanged Man are cards that are associated with Pisces. But obviously, if we have the Hanged Man in reverse, it's like this conflicted energy. So on one side, you do really have this nurturing, intuitive, affectionate thing. And then on the other side, we have the Hangman in reverse, which is feeling blocked. Now, the Hangman upright is a card about needing to be patient and wait and let things unfold naturally. And in reverse, it feels like you are being kind of resistant to slowing down. And so to me, this reads that you are so much in that energy of giving that you keep giving to other people to the point where you feel like you're completely drained. You're not listening to your body or your emotional well-being, which is saying that you need to slow down and take some time out for yourself. And I think that there's also this element of just being resisting, understanding why it is that you have these people-pleasing tendencies. And I understand this. I'm someone who finds it very difficult to say no to other people. And I really think it's that I feel like if I'm constantly doing what other people want, then they'll like me or I'm useful. And then I'm like a good person. But not having boundaries is not healthy for anyone. And I think it's a really easy way to become agitated and kind of fed up with the people around you. And with the Four of Pentacles in the middle of your spread, I think this kind of embodies how you are kind of getting to that place where you're fed up as we go through this rest of the year. Because I think already you are in this energy where you are giving so much of yourself to other people. And maybe you want to stop or you want to slow down or you want to spend more time by yourself, but you feel like you haven't earned it, or you still have a bunch of responsibilities on your plate and you're kind of resisting allowing yourself to do that. And that's what the Four of Pentacles is about. This is really a card about resistance or, kind of refusing to let go of something. And in this particular card, we have Inanna, who's a Sumerian goddess of possession. And so she is kind of looking out at all of these things that she wants. She wants travel. She wants knowledge. She wants all of these things for herself. And yet she's stuck on land, grasping on to something that maybe she could let go of to get something else. And so I think that is really the energy that you are moving into, where you're starting to become agitated. You want to do more things for yourself. You want more time for yourself. You want people to do things for you. You want the space to explore, and you want to feel nurtured and supported in the same way that you have been nurturing and supporting other people. But, I think you also have a really hard time letting go of the control. If you're the caregiver, right, you are the authority. So I think you have a hard time, first of all, asking for help, asking for people to reciprocate. And then I think you also have a hard time saying no to people. And with the next card in your spread here being the Devil, This is really a card about feeling obligated or tied to maybe our toxic behaviors or patterns. And I really think that because you kind of reach this state of agitation and really feeling held back and like, I'm doing so much for other people. I feel like I'm constantly like giving parts of myself away and not getting what I want out of it. I think you kind of reach this point where you really do have to reflect on, okay, why do I feel guilty if I say no? Why is it so hard for me to ask for help? And a lot of the times this does just, tie back to childhood trauma or whatever. I mean, I think if you are someone who has experience with emotional neglect, probably you were taught to be very hyper independent, so that way you didn't have to bother anyone or ask anyone. Probably you feel embarrassed to have needs and express those needs, which I fully understand. But I do think that's something that you are going to end up really reflecting on as we close out 2024. And I think because of that, you end up being able to kind of break these chains or break these patterns and start living more for yourself. And that's coming through in the last card in your spread here, this King of Wands. And so we go from the Knight, which is a powerful card, but it's not as powerful as a king. The Knight is someone who does things for other people. And the king is someone who gets other people to do things for them. They rule with confidence and authority. And particularly the King of Wands is someone who is still compassionate, still giving, still generous, but they don't take any BS. This is someone who knows exactly what they want and has the confidence to be able to set their boundaries and say yes or no to something. And so I think really by the end of the year, because you've kind of been through this uncomfortable position of feeling used or feeling neglected, you do have the reflection to say, okay, how am I, contributing to this pattern within my life and ultimately breaking free from it, which is really beautiful. And I think that's also coming through in the pile marker that you selected here, the Mirror. So this says, know thyself, self-examination, and seeing who you really are. And so this is about how sometimes we basically throw ourselves into task or for doing things for other people or completing certain things. We distract ourselves because we don't want to really have to face ourselves in the mirror and look at a reflection and figure out what it is that's going on. So for a lot of you, I feel like your need to please other people or do things for other people or be perfect or deny your own needs, again, is coming from a place of woundedness, probably from childhood, that you do need to reflect on. And I think you really just need to take a step back and slow down and consider the ways in which you are allowing yourself, you are denying your selfhood. And that's also coming through in the C Melodies cards we have. So the first one is Prudence, and this says, don't be lured by the siren song. And so if you know anything about sirens, they're like, evil mermaids. So what they do is they sing this kind of really beautiful, seductive song, and sailors go toward the music because it's like hypnotic, and they end up getting drowned or eaten or whatever. And so it feels like that's kind of the situation you're in, where you are really lured by the idea of helping other people or assisting other people because it makes you feel like you're useful or like you're a good person or like you're appreciated. But once you actually do it, then you kind of end up just feeling empty and like, I'm always doing these things for other people. Where's that same reciprocation for me? And the second C Melodies card here is Meditate. This says, make some quiet time in the still air. So this is, I think, really goes with that kind of breaking free from the chains of the devil, being able to take that step back and really examine the ways in which, again, you are being lured by the siren song, or you are being lured by the false promise that doing everything for other people will make you feel loved or complete or whole. And you're taking a step back to say, but the people that love me will still love me if I have boundaries, or if I say no, or if I feel like I can't do something or complete something. Because limits are not a weakness. I actually just had a conversation about this with my therapist, because I understand. And we were she made a metaphor about bridges, like a bridge over a waterway that you would drive on in a car, where bridges have weight limits. Like, you can only have a certain number of cars on them because it can only carry X amount of, pounds or kilos or whatever. And that them having a limit does not mean that the bridge is weak. The bridge is still really strong. It has cars going over it every day. It helps people every day, but it's still, it can't take everything. And I think that's kind of the realization that you end up coming to as we close out this year, and really taking steps to kind of implement the ability to set your own limits. I think you will really step into that power as the year closes, which is really beautiful. So congratulations to you, my pile twos. Thank you for watching. I used to put out a video once a week, but I think this is going to be my last video for a while, but I really appreciate everyone who watches. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and see you again sometime. Thank you. Bye-bye. If you selected pile 3, Falling in Love, welcome to your reading. Let's figure out what's happening for you for the rest of this year. So we're starting off your spread here with the moon, and you might be able to tell by the pile marker you selected, Falling in Love, that you do have something coming up in your love life soon. And with this first card being the moon, this is about things that are kind of hidden to you. So I do think for a lot of you, you are currently single. You don't really have anyone that you have a crush on, or anyone that you've been dating, because the moon is about things, again, that are hidden, but it is something that's very emotional fulfilling. The moon is associated with emotions in the tarot and in astrology, and so we go from the moon, something that's hidden, to the 3 of Wands, which is things coming into fruition. And so it feels really like this person that is coming into your love life stepping towards you, and it being very surprising. Like, you really didn't see them coming. I heard Ivy by Frank Ocean, which the lyrics of that are, I thought that I was dreaming when you said you loved me. I had no chance to prepare. I didn't see it coming. And that is really the vibe. I don't think you see this person coming in for you at all. And I think you are pretty emotionally fulfilled by yourself, which is maybe a place you needed to be in before this person could come in for you anyway. But yeah, the 3 of Wands is things coming into fruition, the things that maybe you've been hoping for, planning for, manifesting, coming in for you. And then next to that, we have the King of Pentacles. And so I think this represents the person that is coming into your love life romantically as this year closes. So this person could be a Capricorn or have a prominent Capricorn placement in their natal chart. But generally, they are embodying this King of Pentacles energy, which is someone who is very reliable, dependable. They could be financially very secure, so at least financially stable, but they could be wealthy. And we have the 2 elephants in the back of this card. Elephants represent wisdom, and so I really do feel like this person is just so level-headed and wise, and so you feel really secure when this person comes in and expresses their feelings for you. You feel very safe with them, and with there being 2 elephants, this really feels like, the duality of you and this person, where you're both very wise, emotionally intelligent in relationships, and so you are kind of matching each other's energy. And I think you feel really abundant and happy when you're with this person. I think everything just feels luxurious. In the words of Charlie XCX on her new album, she has a song called Everything is Romantic. And she's just kind of like listing like random things that she sees or notices. But then she says everything's romantic, and I understand that. I feel like when you're falling in love with someone, or when you're in love with someone, just the little things can feel so incredibly cinematic and romantic and amazing. Like I remember I was dating someone once, and they were telling me about how their mom used to cut their hair for them with like clippers, and they used to love it because they loved like feeling the cord of the clippers kind of like graze their arm. And I just remember like that stuck with me so much because it's such a beautiful image, because everything's romantic. When you like someone, you're like, that's so sweet and quaint. Like I can feel how comfortable that is in my mind. And so I really think that the world just becomes so beautiful once you meet this person and you start dating them or you fall in love with them. I think you find so much joy in everything. That being said, I do think you have this great relationship coming in for you as this year closes out. However, our life can't be perfect 100% of the time. The next card we have here is the Seven of Wands in reverse. Now, the Seven of Wands upright is about really standing your ground when you have maybe people like criticizing you, or you just have a bunch of BS being thrown at you. So I do think that there are some trials and tribulations, or maybe some people who are just like criticizing you or being mean to you. It could even be related to this relationship. Maybe there are people who don't approve of this relationship for whatever reason, and they're just getting on your nerves. But with this Seven of Wands in reverse, I do see you kind of deciding to like not put energy into these people, or not give them the satisfaction of showing that you care, or kind of learning to pick your battles. So just generally letting go of the things that are out of your control, because I think you really do see the bigger picture for yourself, which is this Three of Pentacles at the end. And the Three of Pentacles is a card about working well together. Obviously, there's three people on this card. They look very peaceful. And so I think, obviously, you and your new romantic partner work very well together. So if it is someone criticizing your relationship, it's like, well, I know the truth of the relationship, and we're actually great together, so I don't really care what you have to say. If it's another, situation or instance in your life, it's you being able to say, well, the people or the situations that are meant to be with me will be here for me. And I'm not going to try to force a square into a circle. I'm not going to try to force a situation or a friendship or a person, a job, whatever, that's clearly not working for me. I'm not going to try to force it into my life, because what's meant for me will come for me. And the Three of Pentacles also can indicate kind of people being proud of the things that you've done or the progress that you've made. And also, it can indicate like a muse artist situation. And so I think that really ties into that everything is romantic thing. I think, first of all, you really learn how to pick your battles. And because of that, you're focusing on what's there for you, what works for you, what makes you happy. And obviously that's your romantic partner, and just being able to find the beauty in everything around you, and in the friendships that you have, the people that care about you, the people that are supporting you. And so this is a really beautiful way to close out the year. And that is also all reflected in the pile marker that you selected, falling in love. This says kissing the divine in another and in yourself. So this card is about like literally falling in love, but also learning how to fall in love with everything, seeing the divine through someone else's eyes. One of my favorite lyrics of all time is Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes. He says, "In your eyes, I see the doorway of 1,000 churches." And so it's like once you meet this person, again, everything's romantic. It's like everything around us is just little opportunities to appreciate how wonderful, how beautiful, how vast the universe is, how lucky we are that it brought us together. And so, again, I really feel like you are just loving your life. You are just enjoying everything that's coming to you. So for your Sea Melodies cards, the first one we got is Wild, and this says, "Believe in your otherworldly beauty, dance with the waves, and drink in the sunshine." So that really goes with that falling in love card to me. Again, everything is romantic. I think just falling in love makes you see the world through heart-shaped pink glasses and just really enjoy things more. Appreciate everything that you have. And then we have Choose Wisely. Be discerning. You don't have to keep everything in your net. And that really is a reiteration of that Seven of Wands in reverse. So as I said, Seven of Wands is kind of the backlash or the little petty stuff, the issues that you still have going on throughout the year. But Seven of Wands is being able to let go and say, okay, I'm not gonna fight about this. I don't really care that much. So being able to pick your battles and say, I'm not going to give energy to people who are criticizing me or make me feel bad, or I'm not going to try to fight to stay in a situation where it's clear that it's not working for either side. I'm just going to let it go. Because there's so much beauty in the world to focus on, and I'd rather do that and be with my boo. So that is a really cute reading. That is it for you, my pile threes. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I used to put out a video once a week, but I think I'm gonna take a break, so probably this will be the last video for a while. But I just want to thank you all so much for watching and supporting, and take care. If you selected pile 4, the Selkie in her skin, welcome to your reading. Let's figure out what the rest of this year is going to look like for you. So we're starting off your spread here with this 6 of Cups. And if you look at this card, this has a woman who is kind of standing over a grave. And the 6 of Cups often represents nostalgia or our childhood. And for most of you, what I'm getting is that you have been so bogged down by your routine or your responsibilities, your day-to-day life, that you are kind of missing the innocence and openness of your childhood. You kind of miss having that sense of wonder and sense of possibility of the day can bring anything. I was talking about this recently with one of my friends, that as you become older, your life can seem more boring or less exciting because you're also losing the novelty of things. I think when you are a teenager, things feel so infinite and the world feels so full of possibilities because you are just kind of coming into a sense of autonomy, but also it's your first time experiencing so many things, and so everything feels new and very important and very big. And then obviously as you get older, you've already experienced those things and they just become kind of run of the mill. And then you can kind of start to take things for granted or just, not really see the wonder or the joy or the beauty in things that you're used to seeing or experiencing. And so it really does feel to me like for a lot of you, you are kind of in this energy now where you feel like, what happened to all the goals and dreams I had and all of the things that I wanted to accomplish, or all of that innocence, that youth, that vibrancy that I feel like I've let go of. And I think that letting go is coming through in the next card in your spread here, this Temperance card. And Temperance is a card that can really indicate having things be calmed down. It's not that you are living a miserable life, but you've definitely let go of some of that wonder. And I think that because you are in this place where you feel like I don't really have anything like exciting happening to me, or I'm not trying new things. I'm not going out and doing new things. I think for the rest of the year, you really kind of make it your intention to reconnect with that childlike part of yourself who wants to see things through fresh eyes, who wants to have new experiences. And that's coming through also in the card in the middle of your spread here, this Page of Wands. And the Page of Wands is a messenger of joy, vibrancy, ideas, new experiences, activity. I mean, if you look at this card, it looks like this woman is dancing with flowers swirling around. There's just so much movement and energy to this. And so, especially in contrast with Temperance, where this person is standing still, it feels like you're finally done being like, oh, I wish I had done that, or kind of living in the what ifs, or wishing you had more time, and really kind of making it a standard to prioritize the experiences that you want to have. And that doesn't have to be drastic. I mean, it could be, if all you do is go to work and then come home and clean and like watch TV and then go to bed, and you feel like you're stuck in a cycle, like you're a cog in a machine, then maybe that's just switching up little things like going on a walk in the middle of your workday, or deciding to make a new recipe every weekend, or asking a friend that you haven't seen in a while to go get coffee with you, or going to see a new movie by yourself. It doesn't have to be anything really crazy, but I think just allowing yourself to kind of break out of your routine and try new things is going to really make you feel so much happier and less constricted by your routine and your responsibilities throughout the rest of this year. And that's also reflected in the next card here, this Hierophant in reverse. So the Hierophant upright is a card that's all about institutions, it's about tradition, it's about rules, restrictions. And so in reverse, it's eccentricity, it's being able to break free of what is expected of you and kind of break your routine. So especially if you're someone who's very like regimented or type A, this is you being like, actually, I'm not having like any time for myself. I'm not prioritizing fun. I'm not prioritizing other people. I'm just like redoing the same thing over and over again, and it's time for me to switch it up, because otherwise I will drive myself crazy. And with the Nine of Cups at the very end of your spread here, I think this really does work out for you, because the Nine of Cups is a card about wish fulfillment. And if you look at this card, the goddess represented on this card is Nike. She's the Greek goddess of victory, accomplishment. So this is you really feeling, I think, more happy with your life, like you are proud of everything that you get to experience. You have things to look forward to. And I think you just feel happier and more free and less constricted by the confines of your responsibilities. And that is also all coming through in the pile marker that you selected here, the Selkie in her skin, which says reclaiming your authenticity. And the Selkie in kind of like folklore is a woman who lives in the water and then gets kind of like taken up and put on land, and she longs for the water, but she kind of lives in this like half hypnotized state because she's been like kind of confined and restricted and told not to follow her impulses or her intuition, and kind of ignore that wild, free part of herself. But it's very important to connect with that childlike energy, to connect with your inner child and be able to support them and find new ways to bring them joy, find ways that they can be creative and have fun, and just generally being able to spend time with yourself, to spend time with like-minded people who are interested in creating the most out of life, and cultivating your friendships and not allowing yourself to put your responsibilities, whether that's work, taking care of other people, if you have like children, or you're taking care of like a sick parent or something. Obviously our responsibilities are important, but we are more than just what we do for other people. You have to be able to prioritize yourself. You only got one life to live, so why make it one where you are just a machine? Where, why not find the joy and try to experience as much of this life as possible? And I think that is really the energy that you are taking in through the end of this year and really prioritizing. So it sounds like you've got a really fun next 6 months. And your Sea Melodies cards are also reflecting that. The first one we have is the ocean, and this says, be beautiful, mysterious, wild, and free. And that really goes with that pile marker and this Page of Wands, wild and free. That's exactly what the Selkie and her skin card is telling you to do. It's time to loosen up, allow yourself to, break some of your rules, try new things, because you will feel so much more fulfilled and so much happier and probably less resentful or less like confined and restricted. You won't feel like you're in jail from work or, your family or whatever expectations that people are putting on you. The second card here is recharge. And this says, there's nothing like a walk on the beach to soothe your soul. So I see this as more like taking time for yourself, which also taps into that Selkie's card. Because actually in the description for this card, it kind of says the advice here is maybe reflecting on what you want to do, like what in your gut is telling you that you need to be happy or to feel recharged. And so really doing that, but also maybe that's part of the answer. Maybe this summer you really do just need to like go walk on a beach. If that's something that you've been neglecting doing because you feel like, oh, I don't have anyone to go with me, or it's such a struggle, like packing up everything and getting out there, or I have to like stay home and clean or do all this that day. Maybe that's one of the things that you need to prioritize, is being able to take a day to go to the beach. Or if you have another like thing that maybe you've really wanted to do for a while, but you've been putting off because of your other responsibilities, that is the thing that you need to set a date to go do. It's time to stop putting off things that you've wanted to do because you feel like you don't have the time or the space, and be able to say, this is a priority to me to, tap into this part where I get to have fun and kind of nurture the childlike part of myself who wants to experience new things and have fun. And yeah, I think that's a really beautiful reading. This is the one that I would choose. So I'm excited for the next 6 months. Thank you for watching my Pile 4s. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I used to put out a video once a week, but I think this is going to be my last video for a while. But thank you to everyone that has watched this or has watched my other videos. I really appreciate it. Thank you and take care.